on to the Potential Awaits podcast. My name is Sue Wedsworth, your host, coach, and professor that founded WORTHResults to help people maximize their potential and achieve what they want out of life. Today, we're going to talk about paradigms. So put away all your distractions and focus on today's lesson because this podcast class is now in session. Have you ever had a goal? Funny, I don't think I've mentioned goals before, only about maybe 10 or 20 times. So yes, you've probably had a goal, and I hope you do. But has there been something that you've wanted to start doing or maybe accomplish and it just doesn't seem to be gaining any steam? You could walk through any company and see individuals in that business being involved in activities on a daily basis that producing results they do not particularly want. You'll find people that are very overweight and that want to lose that weight and yet continuously eat food that just adds on more pounds. You'll find salespeople complaining that they're having difficulty selling and yet ignoring the known techniques that all top professionals both know how to do and follow. You'll find managers chastising some employee in front of their peers even though they know it's non-productive and only aggravates a situation even more. Yes, these people all know better, and yet they are not doing, or really not even sure why they're not doing those things. And I, like a lot of people, fit in a few of those categories above. I am overweight, knowing that I want to reduce my weight, I should eat right and exercise. Yeah, well, what did I do today? I had McDonald's hamburgers and fries. And I have been professionally selling for decades. I know how to sell. I teach people how to sell. But when I was in banking, there was times where I knew what I had to do, but I still didn't do them. Why? Well, that's what we're here to talk about. Why do we continually do things that produce the results we don't want? The cause of this problem is what we call paradigms. If you're not familiar with the word, don't worry, as there are a lot of people that don't know about it either. However, as you start to understand it, your whole life will begin to change. Changing a paradigm is very similar to changing gears in a car. If you look at a transmission in a car, that's what allows a car to go faster at higher and higher speeds. It basically can connect with the tires to the engine and allows the car to go faster. Now, I'm not a mechanic, so I'm not getting into the specifics. So those people that are car mechanics out there, just allow me a little bit of liberty. However, for those that keep the car in first gear, the engine will race and soar, but the car will not go any faster. You have to engage the clutch to change the gear to get it to go faster. It sounds like a nursery rhyme. The engine has huge amounts of horsepower, but if the right gear isn't used, the highest speed that you'll be able to go is about 40 kilometers an hour. Paradigms keep people from operating past 40 kilometers an hour, even though there's infinite amount of horsepower under the hood. Now, most people are aware of their own potential, but the gears are just not shifting. And clearly understand when you have an awareness of how your paradigm functions, then you can start to control your results you're getting and go after those goals you want. Now, this lesson has the potential of being a very important turning point for anyone. Armed with a bit of knowledge and applying a bit of effort, you can increase your effectiveness. There's a great book by Bryce Pritchard called U Squared, and it talks about paradigms and how to unlock your potential in you for increased personal performance. And if you think about it this way, we know how to square a number. 2 squared is 4, 5 squared is 25, 10 squared is 100, and so on. But what if we were able to square a person? What would they be capable of doing? It's a very interesting concept. I really suggest you go and give it a read. But all you have to do is override that old paradigm that's been holding you back, and you can watch your effectiveness soar. However, you got to keep this in mind. If it was that easy, everyone would be getting the results they want. Paradigms also tend to talk us out of doing that very thing that we decide we want to do. It will talk you out of exercising and eating salads. give all sorts of reasons why sales prep doesn't need to be done, and so on and so forth. This is where persistence comes in. My coach and a very good friend used to get up every morning at 5:30 and go for a run. Now, one of her clients said, "Oh, it must be nice to be able to get up at 5:30 every day. I wish I could have that energy." And my coach said back to her, "Well, come with me. You'll see it really isn't easy or very nice, but I want to get the results I want, so I have to do it." And there are days when she wakes up, looks outside, and goes, "Ugh, it's cold," or "It's dark," and she thinks, "You know what, I can miss a day, it's okay." But honestly, that's the paradigm talking. It makes you see that the easier path is more comfortable, or it's more fun, or whatever. Persistence is the one thing that's required for you to move from where you are to where you want to be. Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich and The Notion of Paradigms, wrote a whole entire chapter in that book on persistence. There's a huge difference between what people know and what people do. Bob Proctor, who I owe this topic to, studied this particular subject for over 50 years and concluded that it's only in the rarest of cases where you find a person doing all they know how to do. But in almost every case, without any further study or training, people can improve their performance with what they already know. See, a paradigm is just a multitude of habits. A habit is really an idea that is fixed in a person's mind that causes them to do something usually without any conscious thought. And a paradigm is what causes our habitual behavior. So we do things we don't want to do and get the results we really don't want, and it's our paradigms that are controlling our actions and our behaviors. For a person to experience permanent change in either their personal and or professional lives, they've got to change their primary cause of the results. A common error is trying to change the results by changing just the behavior. When that happens, the change is generally temporary. Although behavior causes results for sure, this is a secondary cause. The primary cause is the paradigm. So here's a quick exercise you can start to do to go towards the path of change. First, think of any situation where you're not getting the results you want. I want you to write them down in as much detail as possible. Now again, in as much detail as possible, describe the same situation, but in the way you truly want it to be. Clearly write that situation as being accomplished and in the present tense. Now, review the examples you described in both sections. In the first section, I want you to either highlight or circle, depending on if you did it on the computer or a piece of paper, the negative words you used. Things like I can't, I didn't, I'm not, etc. For the second example, highlight all the positive results you accomplished. I did it, I am doing it, I am getting, things like that. Do you see the difference? I know you will. Lastly, I want you to recognize now all the non-productive activities you do in a day and all the productive activities you do in the day. Same kind of thing, write them down. So for example, for me, an early non-productive activity I had was watching TV in the morning. I watched TV in the morning really as a form of escape, preparing myself for a job I didn't enjoy. And that was what I thought would get me hyped up or get me relaxed. But it was really escaping, and it wasn't productive. That didn't really help me reach my goals. So I switched that. For example, a productive activity would be exercising for 30 minutes. Again, that's an example. Another productive activity would be reviewing my agenda for the day, taking that time that I would normally watch TV and prepping myself. So go through an average day and write down what you do, and then segregate them into non-productive activities and productive activities. For example, some of my clients spent a lot of time on social media, not posting, but just looking. Again, is that as productive an activity as it could be? Now, ask yourself, if I was to turn all of my non-productive activities into productive activities, would I get the results I want? Likely you're going to say yes. But let's just start with 2. Pick 2 non-productive activities and look to replace them with productive ones. Just change 2 things. And watch what happens when you focus on those productive sides of your habits. Keep that going for at least 3 weeks. See, if we just decide we're going to stop watching TV in the morning or stop going on social media every day, we'll end up replacing them with some other non-productive activity, and the results will stay the same. So you have to replace them with a productive activity for the paradigm to be changed. Get to work on what they are going to be and stay persistent for at least 3 weeks. Then pick another 2, and then so on. If you feel yourself slipping, go back and do this exercise again and work on changing those non-productive habits into productive ones. Move closer to the results you want and change those paradigms. That's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. I know there's a lot of choices out there, and I'm so happy you spent time with me today. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a lesson. If you want to talk about your own story or have a specific question you want to be answered next time, head over to WORTHResults.com and connect with me. I would love to hear from you. See you next time.